Oh, sorry, sons of bitches. How dare you take my mask? Ugh, when I get home, Gilead is getting such a low review on Yelp. Worst destination ever! Fuck off, dipshit! I gotta figure out a way out of here before more of them show up. Shit! Oh, hey, my lovelies. I have found myself in quite the shit show. As soon as I arrived in Gilead, they took my mask and they took my wand, forced me to change into this ensemble, telling me I'm gonna be a handmaid now. I am not having some weirdo kid or weirdo's kid, but anyway, that's beyond the point. I've got to get out of here. Knew when I saw the name Gilead something was off, but I didn't listen to that. Just told myself everything would be fine. No, it is not fine. Okay, let me see. What do I do? What do I do? I guess if I keep going this way. Lucky for me, I was able to steal one of their weapons when I escaped from their crazy holding place. Anyway. Okay. Think there's a pathway out of this shit show, but I better be careful. Damn, I wish I didn't have to deal with this, but it is my fault. Margaret Atwood warned us all about Gilead in her book, The Handmaid's Tale, a long time ago.
Margaret Atwood is an award-winning Canadian poet and novelist. She was born on November 18, 1939. She received her undergrad degree from Victoria College at the University of Toronto and earned her master's at Radcliffe College. Margaret has published over 50 books that have been published in 45 countries. When Margaret was starting to become more well-known among the literary crowd, her book, The Handmaid's Tale, which was published in 1985, gained her a large fan base and fame. The story was later turned into an opera, and years later the story was turned into a popular show on Hulu, which led her to feel inspired to write a part 2 to The Handmaid's Tale called The Testaments.
Oh, hell no! Okay. Need to figure my way out. I'm just lucky when I made my escape, I was able to craft myself a new temporary mask. What do I do? What do I do? My lovelies, as I figure my way out of this shithole, why don't I tell you what The Handmaid's Tale is all about?
In Margaret Atwood's dystopian future, environmental disasters and declining birth rates have led to a second American Civil War. The result is the rise of the Republic of Gilead, a totalitarian regime that enforces rigid social roles and enslaves the few remaining female women. Alfred is one of these, a handmaid bound to produce children for one of Gilead's commanders. Deprived of her husband, her child, her freedom, and even her own name, Alfred clings to her memories and her will to survive, at once a scathing satire, an ominous warning, and a tour de force of narrative suspense. The Handmaid's Tale is a modern classic.
So sick of these misogynistic assholes I don't know how the hell the main character in The Handmaid's Tale was able to survive this bullshit for so long.
In The Handmaid's Tale, the United States has fallen to religious extremists. This group instates a misogynistic, restrictive government that insists that if people follow Christianity as they have interpreted it with their traditions, then this will help the environment and help the lowering birth rates to rise, along with bringing many, many more good things because they will have returned to Christ. The new government forces fertile women to take on the role of handmaid. A handmaid's job is to take part in what they call the ceremony, where the man of the house reads a passage from the Bible, followed by the handmaid going into the bedroom with the man and his wife and laying on the bed in between them. And the man rapes the handmaid in an attempt to get her pregnant. We never learn the name of the main character. All we learn is that she is called Fred, because the commander who she has been assigned to's name is Fred, so therefore she's Fred, as if she belongs to him. At least she's supposed to belong to him until she gets pregnant with his baby, gives birth to the baby, and is sent away to another house where she will take on that commander's name, as if she is his property. She is forced to endure the ceremonial rape while wondering what happened to her husband and her little girl. I will admit, after reading this book, this character is not a person I particularly like. However, she's not so off-putting that I don't feel bad for her, and I won't say that the situation she has been placed in is karma or unfair. No, she does not deserve this, and it's very disgusting to see what they do to her. Part of me wonders if the author did purposely make the main character a little bit unlikable, if this was intentional, just to show the audience that this is a person, and even if they're not your favorite person, they don't really deserve this, and you shouldn't turn a blind eye to the fact that she doesn't deserve this. But even more than the main character, a lot of the side characters who are handmaids go through nightmarish things, and you feel really bad because it's not fair. They didn't sign up for this. They didn't volunteer to have their autonomy and everything else taken away, yet they are made to suffer. There are even other women known as Marthas, and a Martha is basically a woman who is pretty much enslaved to the house, forced to do all the chores and everything else and manual labor for free. In this world, the most thrilling conversation most women can conduct is talking about the weather or looking forward to a new baby being born. There's nothing to talk about. There's really nothing to do unless you're a man, specifically a man in a high-ranking position. And that's only because those men can get a hold of contraband, such as getting to play Scrabble or listen to certain songs that are no longer allowed. Honestly, it's pretty much a world where only a few men get to have fun and be happy, and everybody else is miserable, insisting that somehow this will make everything better.
Fuck. Okay, good news, everyone. When I started raising all hell trying to get the freak out of here, I distracted most of the enemy, and apparently people laying in wait thinking about, fighting back, took it as a sign as it's their time to fight back. Many of them have been secretly storing up weapons for escape and to overtake this whole shit. Anyway, my lovelies, I think we're gonna win this thing, but we gotta keep fighting. As I go back into the battle, why don't I talk about some of the people who fought hard for this world, only to be extremely disappointed by the mess that they created.
One thing that aggravated me in The Handmaid's Tale is the wives of the commanders. Now, I'm not saying I'm aggravated with it, meaning the author did a terrible job by including this. I actually think it was very smart for the author to do so. And even though it was aggravating to hear, I feel this was very important to the story. Now, these women rallied hard for Gilead. They fought for Gilead and did everything within their power to make Gilead a reality. They were okay with women losing their right to vote, hold a job, and a woman's right to choose what happens to her body, along with many other things, until their rights were taken away. It's pretty obvious they're unhappy with this situation, but they still insist, oh, this is a good thing, oh, this is a good thing. Because it's pretty obvious deep down they don't want to admit that they hate this new world that they helped create. They're bored and they don't like their husbands fooling around with those handmaids. The unhappiness is so prevalent that they each take turns pretending to be sick and having all their friends come to visit to take care of them so that they can get sympathy and a little attention, because they're just that sad. Even worse, there are women in the real world who do this. They fight to have a woman's voice taken away, everything. They get on TV, they do interviews, all of this. But in truth, even though they're fighting to take away every other woman's voice, deep down they don't expect their voice to be taken away too. In The Handmaid's Tale, this problem is represented best by the character Serena Joy, who is the wife of the commander who a Fred has been assigned to. Serena Joy is anything but a joyous person. As I mentioned earlier, she is one of the wives who campaigned to make Gilead a reality. Now it's pretty obvious she's sad and angry and not happy with the whole Gilead thing, even though she, like the other wives, insists it's good, and the only thing she has to look forward to is a Fred hopefully getting pregnant so she can have a baby to raise in that nightmarish world where a woman has no voice. To protect what someone loves most, sometimes they have to hide it. Sadly, what is truly precious to a person's soul cannot always stay hidden forever. Realms, the Hidden Fairy, available now on Amazon Books.
I have bittersweet news, my lovelies. On the upper side, my whole battle to get the hell out of here made a large ruckus, and those who wanted to resist this nightmarish regime saw me raising a fuss and figured the enemy was distracted, so they decided to attack. And thankfully, they captured a bunch of the commanders and pushed their forces back. Right now, the city seems to be secure, so this was a victory, a fantastic victory, but the battle to fully fight back against these people is not over, and it's probably not going to be over for a while. Anyway, before I use my wand to get out of this nightmarish place, let me give you my final thoughts on The Handmaid's Tale.
One problem I did have with The Handmaid's Tale is that it is also hard to connect with the main character because she is a bit emotionless and she has to do this in order to survive this very harsh society. We do have access to her head because she is recounting what's going on around her, but there is still a bit of a disconnect, and there's even more disconnect because this is her recounting things in the past, and the entire story is a recording she made of what was going on. Despite this, as I mentioned, you still have sympathy for her because, as I said earlier, this is not fair. She was stripped of her husband, her child, her name, everything, and now every day she tries to survive, mostly meaning that she has to keep the commander and his wife happy, which is difficult to do considering his wife hates her because she's sleeping with her husband in this ceremonial nonsense, and this woman wants wants Fred to give her a baby yesterday. In addition to, she has to keep the commander happy as well, and he takes a little too much of an interest in her outside of the ceremony. And whenever his wife isn't in the house, he has her come into his office and spend time with him, mostly to entertain himself. There is a bit of a question when he has her come to his office if deep down he's a good person, but to be honest, you can also tell no, he is not, considering what he is subjecting of Fred to.
My lovelies, I am past ready to leave. But before I do, I should give you the butterfly score. So, when it comes to The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, I am giving it the score of 5 butterflies out of 5. Despite my dislike of the main character and not being a huge fan of the entire story, is just someone recounting the past via recordings, it was still a pretty good story. It was, well thought out. And the world building is very good. And the situation and the horrible world this person is being subjected to, along with all the tension and everything, you really feel that in Margaret Atwood's writing, which is something a good writer does. Because if you read this story, no matter what, it will leave an impact because she did such a good job with it. And I am suggesting, if you enjoyed this video, to really, really check out this book and give it a chance. It is very much worth the read. It's funny that I ended up in this world, my love, because right now, the United States is going through an election, and in the U.S., we're trying to choose between a candidate who says the United States is for all U.S. citizens and wants to create new plans to help every American be able to grow and prosper, and not have us go back into the past and have things be like they were back in the day, where things weren't fair for every American, like it's not fair now in this, the year of our Lord 2024. Yeah, things aren't fair, but it's better than what there were, and we still have the potential to grow to be something greater, something more fair, where everyone can benefit. Meanwhile, the other candidate doesn't really have much of a plan, so much as wants to make things the way more they used to be, when a lot of the U.S. citizens didn't have a lot of rights, and forge a government that caters to them and their friends, for them to grow and prosper, and everybody else can just fall by the wayside. My lovelies, I can't tell you who to vote for. I can't tell you, oh, you absolutely have to do this, or you absolutely have to vote for this. But look at both candidates and really put some thought into it. What kind of America do you want to see? One that continues the great experiment and does better and moves further into the future with better ideas? Or one that turns back the clock, brings back old ideas, and makes things a bit more, well, more than a bit, unfair for everyone? It's your decision. Now, my lovies, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Leave me a comment